Shana Tova. The Jewish tradition has a blessing for almost every moment in life. So today, I would like to begin by sharing with you the blessing that we say when reuniting with loved ones after a long time apart. Since we are all coming together after many months, I would like you to repeat after me, Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Mechaye Ameitim. You just said, blessed are you, Adonai, sovereign of the universe, who revives the dead. It's true. Traditionally, this blessing, the blessing that we just said, expressed the deep emotions of those who didn't know if their relatives or friends were still alive. The reunion was an opportunity to thank God for the miracle of life and a reminder of the importance of being surrounded by the people we love. However, this year, this blessing holds an even deeper meaning. This year, many of us feel as though something within us has died, as if something deep within our souls was severely damaged. It is out of the depths of our shared pain that we say this blessing, hoping that God will help us heal, hoping that what seems broken will somehow be fixed. So we say, Baruch Mechaye Ameitim. These past few months have been the most difficult of my entire rabbinic life. My heart broke on October 7th, and it has been broken many other times since then. The Talmud teaches that the piercing sounds of the shofar are meant to resemble the cries of mothers who have lost their children and the moans of people with countless broken sighs. This year, more than ever before, that's what I hear in the shofar. The laments of those who are suffering, along with the fears and anxieties associated with what seems to be a never-ending war. I know I am not alone in feeling this way. Like many of you, I am deeply concerned about Israel. Back in early August, on the day we flew back home after spending some time in Israel, and after the ordeal of securing new tickets and under the threat of an imminent Iranian attack that didn't happen then but happened 2 days ago, I experienced a range of emotions. On the one hand, I felt relief at not having to expose the girls to the trauma of rushing to the bomb shelter at 3 in the morning. On the other hand, I also felt and continue to feel a profound sorrow and distress for the future of the Jewish state. There are times when everything seems to be hanging by a thread, and that is exactly how I felt as we were flying away from Israel. Part of the trauma we are experiencing now is related to the collapse of what in Israel is called the conceptia, roughly translated in English as the conceptia. This refers to a set of deeply ingrained assumptions in the Israeli mindset that no one believed could be any different. Among these assumptions were the sense of safety and security that was utterly shattered, the idea that a small, technologically advanced army was all that was needed to defend Israel's borders, and the notion that Israel knew how to handle Hamas. As David Makovsky from the Washington Institute wrote a few weeks after October 7th, it is possible that the conceptia was built on a concerted strategic deception orchestrated by Hamas, along with a great deal of wishful thinking shared by Israel and other Western countries. Unfortunately, this was not the first time that something like this has happened to us. Back in biblical times, the Jews in Jerusalem were so convinced that God would never destroy the city that they ignored the warnings of the prophet. As a result, Jerusalem and the temple went up in smoke. Similar patterns can be seen with the destruction of the Second Temple, the Crusades, the Spanish Inquisition, and the rise of the Nazis, to name a few. Time and again, we seem to be wired to believe that no matter how we live our lives or the decisions we make, everything will be all right. However, history teaches us once and again that what seems to be in order can become completely broken in just a few seconds, leaving us to pick up the pieces and start all over again. According to Rabbi Benny Lappi, when our master story collapses, there are essentially three possible paths that we can take. Number one, we can deny the crash and pretend it never happened, regardless of the evidence to the contrary. Number two, we can reject our master story and choose to walk completely away. Or number three, we can acknowledge the crash, but instead of abandoning the story altogether, we can stick to the core values of our narrative and work on building a better one. If you pay attention, right at this moment, we can see these three paths unfolding before our eyes. So, for example, some people deny reality and continue to operate as if they were still living in the world of October 6th. For them, for some of them, political survival comes first, regardless of everything else. Members of this group tend to deny the existence of the Palestinian people and their suffering, somehow forgetting that they will not go away. As much as they claim to care for the future of the Jewish people, they struggle to understand that for the sake of Israel's security, if nothing else, we should consider a long-term regional solution that will offer resilience and hope to both the children of Gaza and Kiryat Shmona, the children of Tulkarem and of Nahal Oz. We have to do it even if we all know it won't be easy, and even when we know that it will take plenty of time for that plan to materialize. Complexity can never be a reason to avoid moving forward. Now, opposing those who deny the Palestinians are their suffering, we also have those who deny the reality of Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and every other Iranian proxy in the Middle East. This particular group fails to recognize the genocidal intentions of these terrorist organizations, and they tend to place all the blame on Israel, forgetting that Hamas has violated every ceasefire agreement in the recent years. People like Yahya Sinwar, and for people like him, for them peace is merely a tactical step to rearm and try to kill us again. We cannot deny that reality. Also within this group, we find those who portray October 7th as an act of resistance, those who call to globalize the Intifada, and those who chant from the river to the sea, even though most of the time they can't identify either the river or the sea. These folks accuse Israel of genocide and apartheid, of colonialism and even white supremacy. It's mind-blowing. And yet, mind-blowing as it is, somehow this narrative has gained traction in many universities and other educational institutions in our country and in our city, putting our children at risk. Needless to say, this is morally unacceptable. Because if complexity cannot be used as an excuse to stop moving forward, denying reality is also not the way to move forward. Now, when we shift from those who reject reality to those who reject our own master story, we can also see two major groups taking shape. On the one hand, there are those who have abandoned the prophetic values of universal justice and tikkun olam as central to their Jewish identities. They have forgotten that Judaism teaches us that every human being is created in God's image, even those we don't like. And they forget that we were freed from Egypt to build an inclusive and welcoming society in its place. We were taken out of Egypt to create a society that is the exact opposite of what we saw with Pharaoh's regime. This group overlooks the fact that the mitzvah most frequently mentioned in the Torah commands us to love the stranger 36 times. Ve'ahavta et hager, you should love the stranger. Instead, they limit their commitment and concern to the members of their own tribe. Now, while some individuals in this group deny these core values due to a radical ideology that is far removed from what Judaism has to teach, many others find themselves in this group, particularly in these days, due to the pain and the despair caused by the terrorists on one side, and a fairly biased world on the other. However, as Rabbi Doniel Hartman rightly argues in his latest book, the intentions and the actions of those who hate us should never, ever shape or have the power to shape our highest values and ideals. Because if they do that, they win. And that's a mistake. Now, in contrast to those who deny the universal claim that Judaism makes to each and every one of us, there is a group of people who have chosen to deny a different aspect of our Jewish master story, concluding that the state of Israel doesn't have the right to exist. And to me, that is heartbreaking. Deeply, deeply heartbreaking. Now, some link the growth of these anti-Zionist sentiments to the fact that for many of our young adults, the only Israel they know is the one represented by Benjamin Netanyahu and his increasingly right-wing and ultra-Orthodox coalitions. They have no memory of 1948, the Six-Day War, or the Yom Kippur War. They lack an emotional connection to Yitzhak Rabin, and they don't remember. They don't have a clue about the Second Intifada. According to this explanation, as these young people learned about the wrongdoings of the Israeli government, and there are plenty of those, don't get me wrong, as they learned those, they rejected the official story they were told at school or in shul in favor of an anti-Israel narrative. The sad paradox in all of this is that many of these kids have moved from a very one-dimensional story to another very one-dimensional story, consistently skipping the real challenges associated with grappling with a complex reality. Other voices believe that the reason some of our young adults are uninterested or disengaged from the state of Israel is connected to the overwhelming presence of the universal values presented earlier. If all our children learn in day school, religious school, youth movements, or Jewish sleepaway camps, it's about our call to make this world a better place without any distinction or special consideration for those who are part of our own family, it is actually not a surprise that they won't resonate with the need, the value, or the worth of a Jewish state. Taking care of the world and fighting for universal rights are at the core of our Jewish identity. There are no negotiable values. But at the same time, we should also highlight and teach the particular rituals and symbols that are part of our unique heritage. It can never be an either-or proposition. If we want Judaism to be a source of inspiration for us, our children, and our grandchildren, it has to be both. There is no other way around. And this leads me to the third and final path, the one I hope we can take together. Because in contrast to those who deny reality and those who reject foundational aspects of our master story, we are called to embrace what Judaism has to teach and use it as a guiding force through the darkness of our times. For this, we need the courage to open our hearts to the pain that is experienced by people on both sides of the border without compromising our commitment to Israel's security needs. We need intellectual nuance to tackle the challenges ahead, and we need moral clarity and moral audacity to ensure that these challenges are not used as an excuse to keep stalling. We must embrace both the universal and the particular within our tradition, and we should try to face life with a tiny bit of fear and with a ton of hope. We must reject the radical ideologies of those who care only about Jews, as well as the naivete of those who believe that we should be singing Kumbaya with Yahya Sinwar and Hassan Nasrallah, or whoever comes after them. We are called to denounce the unlawful actions of Jewish settlers every time they terrorize Palestinian villages, and we have to condemn those who hide their anti-Semitism under the cheap disguise of anti-Zionism. Nevertheless, we cannot, we should not, we must not stop with mere scolding and rebuke. We must be proactive in shaping a Judaism that is appealing to us and to all those who might find their spiritual home here with us. we have to create, to shape, to insist on a Judaism that promotes the joy and the pride of being part of this amazing people, that celebrates the many wonders and achievements of the state of Israel, and that becomes a leading voice describing what the Olam Haba, what the world to come, what the future could be if we all work together to make it happen. Although there are no silver linings to the October 7th trauma, it is worth noting that this past year we have seen an increase in Jewish belonging and communal participation. Perhaps it was the shattered conceptia regarding our personal safety, the fear for Israel's existence, or the rise of anti-Semitic events all over the world. In any case, we have witnessed many Jews who are looking to reconnect with their roots and to re-engage with their rituals and traditions. I have seen, personally, teenagers who previously didn't enjoy attending Beit Miriam at all, and that is kind of an understatement, now showing up to put on tefillin on Sunday mornings. It happens. You should come and see it for yourself and put tefillin yourself as well. I have seen how many of our graduates proudly hang Israeli flags in their university dorms. I have seen that. I have seen how young couples are more committed than ever to their Jewish heritage. And I have seen how many people of all ages and backgrounds are now eager to belong to a congregational space where they can meet friends and forge new relationships. This surge, as it has been called, serves as a powerful reminder that we don't want to be defined by those who hate us. Instead, we are constantly seeking ways to express our Judaism in meaningful and relevant ways. Perhaps this is also a fitting reason for the blessing we said before. Baruch Mechayeh Ameitim, blessed is the one who continually helps us revive the essence of what it means to be Jewish in our times. Rosh Hashanah is not only the day when many years ago the world and humankind were called to existence. Rosh Hashanah is also an ongoing invitation to believe that together we can create a reality that is worthy of our highest aspirations. So as we gather to welcome this new year, my hope is that God will hear our prayers, that families in Israel will soon reunite with their loved ones who are still captive in Gaza, and that we will continue to work together to ensure that we can proudly say, Am Israel Chai, that we, the Jewish people, are thriving and very much alive. Shana Tova.